Vikings to the shield wall. I'm Thor. Welcome to the DragonShip, a harbor where a rising tide lifts all boats, a show, a conversation about taking small actions over time and achieving massive results. Welcome aboard the DragonShip. Let me bring up everyone for today. Welcome, Raith. Welcome, Huds. Welcome, Mark Daniels, and welcome, Glenn Laurence. You're on the DragonShip. This is my crew. Setting sail today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to talk about something that's absolutely crucial, absolutely incredible, and that is frame. Frame's been talked about a lot, and we're seeing live examples of frame being played out every single day. What is frame? We'll talk about frame. Frame is a structure that gives shape or support. Imagine this as a mindset, a way to build structure and give shape and support to your thoughts, to your expectations, to your boundaries for yourself, and to how you interact with others. It's incredibly important. It's also how you subcommunicate. The definition, a structure or a physique of a human body or an animal body is also frame. This is right from the dictionary. Frame is also an open structure or rim for encasing or holding or bordering. Very interesting. I love the use of the term frame. Frame is incredible. We have a great panel here today. We're going to talk about frame. I mean, the title of today's show is You Don't Have Frame? If you don't, you better get some, because you're going to be nothing but rolled over on in life, a simple slave and trapped in the matrix. You know, you certainly don't want that. Go to work, pay my taxes. I have no frame. Just follow everybody's orders. You are not free. And that's a surefire way to destroy the spirit that you have within you. And I want to do a special shout out today too. I want to do a shout out to let's see, a shout out to a good friend of the show, and that's Andrew Tate, who got banned this last week. We're going to talk about Andrew Tate. We're going to talk about Tate's speech, and I just want to take a moment before we actually start to direct everybody to support Andrew Tate. He got banned from YouTube, Facebook, his Twitter, and he got banned with absolutely no strikes, but it's much more important than that. The influence of these companies within a 100-mile radius is immense, and it's just a handful of people. They also shut down his credit card processor, Stripe, or Stripe chose to, based on the fact that there was no strikes, and the only violation of policy is that YouTube said he's a dangerous person. Based on what? There's no criminal charges. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing whatsoever. In fact, he has more testimonials of helping men in our space than anybody else. Really, he is the most Googled personality on the planet. Man, literally, has achieved the most famous status in the world right now, according to social media. And really, social media dominates the regular media. It got so big that he had an interview with Tucker Carlson. Listen to this man. He's really done some deep thinking. Now, does he talk fast? Does he make his point with a loud voice? It is quite a masculine approach. His frame is quite masculine. And to me, total respect. However, tip of the spear, almost always when you engage in battle, is broken off. And that's what they're attempting to do. I don't think this will work with that man in particularly, because he has helped so many that there's going to be a tremendous pushback. And I'm going to do my part with that right now too. We're going to share a window, and this is what we're going to share right now, is go over here to Rumble and subscribe. It's free. Everybody here, go and subscribe to Tate Spreets right here. He got banned from everything, yet all his broadcasts are here. Just the fact that he's putting this stuff out is fantastic. And while you're there and you subscribe to Tate and Tristan, you know, take a look. Sterling Cooper's there. Guess who else is there? You know, yours truly has all episodes broadcast on Rumble as well. Come over there, give us a subscribe and a like. It's really important. It's really important that we don't have a single source for all our information. It's easily corruptible. What do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you have the power of the pulpit, people believe you to be an authority. And when you're an authority, people believe what you say, even when you tell lies. That's why you hear often first liar wins, right? Once you ring the bell, you can't unring it. And we really need to push back on this. We have the technology to do that. We should. Each of us should take the responsibility to, in any way we can, resist the fact of central control. It kills our spirit. So having a man like this that's really done nothing except being loud and maybe saying a few curse words that women don't like or that a particular ABC group doesn't like, I'm sorry. It wasn't projecting harm at them in any way. It just didn't feel good. And to get rid of people for feeling good is the very definition of thought crimes for which in 1984 they were imprisoning people. And they actually did this, some 80 years ago for thinking. If you thought a certain way, prison, death. And it happens today all the time throughout the world. And there is a huge culture war going on that you cannot sit idly by. What are they going to do? They're going to give you a mediocre job, give you some video games to get excited with. They'll give you free porn. Yeah, get there. You're overweight. You can't do anything. You can't resist. You got a neck beard. You got Cheetos on your beard, but you're happy, right? You'll own nothing and be happy. They're so bold that the liberal world order is broadcasting that this is happiness for you. And if they say it long enough and loud enough, what this is actually just making a frame for you to live in. Don't you want to make your own frame? I think that you do. Climb aboard the dragon ship and let's set sail for much greener pastures and let's do some plundering, shall we? So with that, let's get started with our panel. You better get some frame. Maybe we should have a t-shirt. Got frame? What do you think? Raith Deantior. He's our resident expert on men building frame from the ground up because as we'll get towards the end of the show, we'll see how frame is used in a social interaction, but you have to do this with yourself. It is incumbent if you're a father and you're raising children, even little girls must learn how to gain some sort of social frame. So much more important for men because men actually see the world in hierarchies. This is part of our 3D spatial thinking, and it's super important for us to advance societies and create inventions to think this way. Men size each other up immediately when they work together and figure out what the hierarchy is because it is so efficient, and this is a really important thing that men establish and pass along within this framework and teach men to establish a frame and work that way. Men must become, and we have the burden of performance. Part of that is learning from men who have done it for years, such as Raith and Mark and Glenn and Huds that's coming through this. So with that, Raith, how are you doing today? Happy Saturday and welcome aboard the Dragon Ship.
I'm doing well, and thank you. You've asked me to talk a little bit about frame, and I know I've got some stuff that Huds is going to share for me. I kind of want to talk just a second about what frame is, okay? Frame is something that we all have. Even if you're not red pill, you still have a frame. It's just, does that framework support your beliefs about yourself and how you want other people to perceive you and your value? So from a standpoint of men like structure, humans require structure to think. We think in structured patterns. So as we talk about frame and as a structure, we're talking about it from a psychological standpoint. But there are physical attributes to frame, like working out, keeping yourself healthy, and those kind of things. And those things are actual perceptions that other people see about you. And that sets a tone, that first physical appearance and stuff sets a tone for what people are going to view. And you may not have the swimmer's body or the bodybuilder's body, but do you have stature? And does that stature relay confidence? Okay, because if it relays confidence, then there's a simple understanding that there's some competency somewhere that you're projecting. So, Hud, if you bring up the slides for me.
Can we let's finish introducing
Okay.
everybody, and we'll come right back to Raith for the for the very start on frame and why it's important and why you should establish it and what it actually means. Huds, welcome. This is our resident dating coach extraordinaire. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Let us know what's going on right now and where we can find you all that. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, happy to be aboard. I think I mentioned last week that Andre and I are going to be launching a course soon, and so we've been working through some of the details on that. It's going to be probably the first week of October, so about a month to go, and super excited. Pulling together texting and mindset, hypnosis, NLP. It's going to be something special. So I can't wait to get more details for everybody that's coming soon. One thing I do want to say about Andrew Tate. So I don't know if you guys remember. This is dating back a little while because he was only in the space for a brief amount of time. Does anybody here remember Christian McQueen?
Yes.
So Christian McQueen. The very first time I heard about Tate was in 2017 when I was listening to Christian McQueen's podcast. And initially, when I first heard him speaking, I thought, this guy's a knucklehead, but I have to get through the entire library. And then it was like 20 minutes in that something clicked with me. And I absolutely love Andrew. I've always loved Andrew. It's crazy how he was able to get so in the public eye right now. But I mean, we'll get deeper into that stuff before, but I've always admired Andrew. I think that he is a great example of how to have frame control,
Yes.
especially because like as a fighter, like he knows that he can get anybody or most people. He can get most people. But
And it's where he came from too, from nothing. So it's earned. They're very, very different.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that. I just was thinking about that because I've known everybody's like, did you hear about this guy, Andrew Tate? And it's like, I've known about Andrew Tate for what, 5 years now? So it's just interesting seeing what he's doing and then listening to his final message and everything. We'll talk more about that later.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that 2 cents out there.
Thanks, Hud. And before we move on, I definitely had an announcement that I missed at the beginning. Guys, this is the first dragon ship that is broadcasting to multiple streams today. All of the panel members have their streams up and open, and we're missing one guy today. We'll get back there, but we are broadcasting to Raith Deantior's new YouTube channel, and we are live broadcasting to Mark Daniels at Mark's Inspiration YouTube channel. We are broadcasting to Glenn Laurence. And Glenn, the name of your YouTube channel, I don't see it up here, but is it Glenn Laurence Presents? No, I'm not hearing you, but you're muted there. But
the YouTube channel is just under Glenn Laurence.
It's just Glenn Laurence. So we're broadcasting there as well. We are broadcasting to Phil Foster Fitness over at Phil Foster. He got the coop, so he's down a little bit. But you know, if you guys have seen Phil, you know he's approaching 50 and he is just shredded to the bone. He is so healthy. I'm sure this won't be much more than a 24-hour issue for him.
Was it Phil or Jimmy that got it? I thought Jimmy got it. Oh, was it Phil?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I think Jimmy's busy. Sure. Yeah, he'll be back. He doesn't have a YouTube channel though, but definitely broadcasting to all of these channels. I'm sure we'll get to Andre soon. Something new we're trying here because, you know, the big philosophy on the Dragon Ship is that we all get on board and we row. So, and we get to our destination that way. So we're working together. Rising tide lifts all boats, and we are the rising tide. Andre, thank you. Introduce yourself and welcome. You know the topic for today is frame.
Well, first frame, I want to tell Phil, I just got over my coof. I lost 12 pounds in 3 days or 4 days. And so there's something going around Texas. I've got some families in San Antonio that part of a family member that's got it too. So anyway, Phil, we're with you, brother. Just hang in there. Frame, man, and I use NLP and hypnosis, and frame is everything. One way I would say frame is, as was Raith, but I'm going to go a little bit sideways on it, or maybe a little underneath what Raith was saying, is it's also, think of it as state, was Raith, but I'm going to go a little bit sideways. Yeah. So I just, I think that I don't state is what's your state. How you maintaining state is also how you're maintaining frame. That's part of it. And anyway, that's me, and that's what I got right now, man.
Fantastic. Okay, Glenn Laurence, look at you, man. Getting hit in the
What's going
gym,
on?
huh?
You know, actually, I just got over COVID a couple days ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But that weight loss did lean me out a little bit. But yeah, man, I've been hitting the gym. Just trying to be like you, Thor. But frame, Raith said it earlier in the beginning that everybody has frame, whether they know it or not. And even the relationship between your boss and employee, when you're an employee, you're working under your boss's frame. He is the one that's the frame that you are in during those hours of work. So you have frame, or there's frame involved in every aspect and every relationship and interaction that people have. But we'll get more into that a little later. But I just want to say that frame is so important to understand and really grasp for men and everybody, but really for men to have. That this episode is really going to be a big one for this podcast. I'm just telling you right now. Mark my words.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and we're going to bring Mark up here and introduce him. As I was just a comment. Frame is so important, and I think some guys definitely misinterpret it and they harm themselves and think they're holding their frame socially, whereas it's very precise. Yet, I think frame's often misinterpreted. So we're going to try to define that for everybody. And thanks, Glenn, for being here. I know you're on a shoot schedule and it's hard to be here. Thank you for making the time. Mark Daniels, I know you got some stuff going on too. Thank you for making the time on Saturday morning, Mark. Mark's inspiration. We're broadcasting live there. Welcome, Mark. What do you got on your mind?
Oh, glad to be here. Wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but here I am, and glad I did. You can check me out at Mark's Inspiration. That's my website. I offer.
Are you guys hearing him?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Huds, you can't hear me? But okay, you can check me out at marksinspiration.com. That's my website. I offer consultation. Glad to be here. For me, when we talk about frame control, for me personally, it's just being centered in myself, keeping my focus on where I'm moving in my life. And if something or someone comes in that distracts me from that, and I allow it to distract me, then I'm allowing my frame to be disrupted. I keep it pretty simple for myself anyway, but I'm looking forward to hearing the different aspects that Raith and some of you guys got, because I know I can learn from that.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. And you've been around for a while, so you got some experience holding frame for sure. All the stuff you've been in. I mean, you wrote your book Coming Home.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. There's plenty of examples there of establishing your boundaries, your expectations, and then holding yourself accountable to it, which is a big part of it, right? So
yeah, I also have a lot of experience what happens when you don't hold frame. Never works out too well.
Don't we all? Okay, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, but we'll see it before. Huds, do you want to jump out and jump back in so we can be congruent here? Would that be accepted? You have frozen. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that real quick.
All right.
And
so
then
Raith and I'll just get started talking, and then if I can bring up what he wants, when you come back, we'll bring up his slide, and we'll talk to it. Okay. So Raith, frame. I mean, this is what you consult a lot on. I mean, men will hire you to work on frame, and you create something called a frame statement. Why is that so important?
I think, what a lot of people don't understand is that writing something and reading something is when your conscious and your subconscious are engaged together. Okay, especially if people are vocal readers or they have vocalization when they're reading, that's talking to yourself. And when you're writing a frame statement, okay, that's an automatic response writing and thinking through the process. So those two times you're in contact with your subconscious and you're feeding your subconscious information directly. So by writing the frame statement, you start defining to yourself what your frame is going to be. Okay.
And that results in better outcomes. That's really the goal. Yeah.
Right. And Andre's right. Frame is essentially, from a psychological or NLP standpoint, it's a state. Okay. And when we get into the slides, I'll talk a little bit about that from a cognitive standpoint. And by cognitive, we're talking about psychological frame. And that encompasses your values, your beliefs, and those kind of things. And by being able to interpret those and change the presuppositions in your life. Okay. If a lot of people don't understand, presuppositions are the things we tell ourselves. Those are the things that create our beliefs and our values. So we're looking at it from a core standpoint of fixing or repairing or setting a situation where you can create a state of understanding of yourself. And by doing that, it gives you a place to originate all your thoughts based on your beliefs and your values. There's not a lot of difference between beliefs and values. Beliefs are those things that you know or you think you know. Values are those things that are hardcore go and no-go situations for you. Okay, so they're still beliefs, but they're more integrated in how you make decisions. Okay, so Hud, if you want to bring up the slides, we'll go through
Get
this
right into definition, huh? Okay.
Right. Okay, so, and this is from a cognitive psychology standpoint. It's a set of parameters that define either a particular mental schema or a wider cognitive structure by which an individual perceives and evaluates the world. Okay. It also is conceptual system or perceptual set. So what that really means is frame is your core beliefs and your values of how you basically perceive information coming to you. But that's only a part of it from a psychological standpoint. The other part that they don't talk about in psychology is how you want people or how you project to be perceived, which is important because in relationships, doesn't matter what relationship it is, you want to be perceived in the best possible light based on your values and your beliefs. So go to the next slide, Hud. Okay, go back. It says frame is just a word for describing psychological context and subcontext. Okay. A lot of people think that frame is some elusive power, and it's not. Okay, it's just basically, it's not bestowed on us at birth. Is to some extent it's based on biology because men are more physically superior, and men tend to understand external physical hardship better than women do. Okay. Masculine frame has been under attack by social norming for the last century. And this is because of the first wave feminist, second wave feminist, and now we're into the third wave feminist. But what's important about it is that as men, we regain male frame for ourselves so that we can pass that along to future generations.
I think that definitely there's something to that, Raith. I don't know if you can go into it, but it's been an attack by social norming because, you know, we've seen it throughout history that men that have solid frame and have these expectations and boundaries, particularly men of fighting age, will push back on social issues and protect the tribe. And that's kind of frightening to those in power. I mean, back in the feudal era, this was a big reason for some of the fighting, you know, was attacks on frame, you know.
Yeah, well, what happens is when you talk about social constructs and social norming, they're trying to replace your current beliefs and values with values and beliefs that create a more homogenous society in their perception. And most people will tell you that a lot of those social norms and stuff, even though they comply with them, they don't feel that those are their values.
Yeah,
you see it in politics right now. We're divided. We're a divided country when it comes to politics. And I'm not trying to make this about politics, but it's values. There's two sets of values out there in politics now. And people are being asked to choose from those values. And
It's certainly painted the picture that there's two, even though there's more, that
Right.
they have created a battlefield that's super easy to understand, basically at the toddler level. Good, bad, bad, good, orange man, bad, no, old lady, bad, so they're doing that. Man, what you've stated there about Frame, I mean, Frame has been chipped away with this feminist thing. It makes men easier to control, for sure. It's wild. It's wild. You guys, not to change the subject, but the Frame has definitely changed. They just forgave a third of all student loan debt. That means 67% of women that had student loan debt of up to 20,000 was just forgiven.
You want to know what's even more wild? I'm making one comment on that. I was just talking to my girlfriend about this. It's based on the date that you, if you still have it outstanding balance.
Yes.
She paid it off. She paid off her student loans. She worked her fucking ass off, paid off her student loans. And now she doesn't get any type of discount or any type of benefit because she worked her ass off, worked hard. Unbelievable.
No.
Just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. It's conditioning for Frame, for sure.
So,
yeah.
Is there another slide there, Hud?
Yeah, we got another one here.
Okay. So when I work with people about Frame, I would tell them Frame is a genuine look at you, your values, your boundaries, as well as your physical and social expressions of those. All right. Frame doesn't just belong to the red pill, as I stated earlier. It's an expression of your beliefs and how you construct the life you want. Belief sets, that's the basis of how we view the world and ourselves, and we get foundation of the values that we have and exhibit them through the Frame. Psychological attributes that we need to establish Frame are self-discipline, awareness, and willpower. And I'm not going to read that whole thing, but those are important in the sense that they're going to see you through those hard times when you're struggling, and you're struggling against norming, social norming, or any other issue that you're having. You need to have the ability to say, I can do this. Okay. And the biggest thing about that is all starts with awareness of self. And that's one of the things that Andre can tell you, and through NLP and stuff, it's really opening up your own your self-awareness so that you can actually evaluate yourself and how you view the world and how you want to work within that view of the world. So you can take that down, Hud, and we can talk now. So
Okay. Your heads. You don't have control. I think he froze. Let me do it. Got it. He's having a little bit of trouble there. Yeah, so definitely Frame is an interesting. It's interesting to define it that way, because I think the way you've defined it is crucial to start thinking in such a manner as early on as you can in order to get control of yourself and start to actually become socially relevant. Without that, you're very awkward if you don't have Frame. Guys, let's comment on that level of definition that Raith has done. His work with having men write a Frame statement is really about you recognizing at the conscious and subconscious level with language, because language is crucial here to both sides of your brain and to your ability to form your own identity. And this is how they're programming you with these language things. So if you're a man and you're watching this, or a woman, think about the elements of writing a Frame statement that speaks to you and speaks to your soul and your core. Raith, when you do this, can you describe a little bit in brief detail about this writing of a Frame statement for yourself before you move on, and about how long it takes to really absorb this and start to see benefit in your life? And once again, if you're really interested, Raith consults on this very effectively. He doesn't take lazy people. You have to do the work. And if you think about it, to sit there and write these things on a piece of paper, it's an exercise that all of us would kind of struggle with at first. Can you go into that a little bit, Raith?
Yeah, what we usually do is, I'll work with someone, and I have a little values exercise I do with them when I'm working with them one-on-one. And it starts, basically them going through listing their 10 top values. And we keep whittling away at that till we get to the final value that they find most important. And there's some reasons why the people find those. We explore those reasons. And then we start talking about, okay, what do you want to change about your life? Because what I'm really soliciting is information about what do they want, what beliefs do they want to change? And we start working on what presuppositions that they've perceived through their interpretations of situations or incidences that have happened that cause them to write down in their mind those suppositions. Some of it's social conditioning, some of it's, trauma, some of it's, fear. And fear is usually a reaction to some trauma. But as I think I talked about it a couple of shows ago, trauma doesn't necessarily have to be extensive to cause something for you to develop a belief about something.
No.
Okay. Because you can see something in your peripheral that causes you to develop a belief, and it's not something that's directly affecting you. So when we explore that, we start talking about what created that belief. And most people never think about why they believe what they believe. They don't think about their values, where that comes from. And it's getting them in a state where they're talking about those values, talking about those beliefs, so that they can see the value or the waste of a belief or value, and start breaking down how they view the world and why they view the world that way.
Oh my God, that's so powerful. Do you realize the fire that Raith is spitting here? Because, guys, we're all born into the matrix. Essentially, from the day I was born to you, we're being given in through our eyes and our ears this social conditioning to be good little boys, good little chimps, as Apex would say, and to follow these norms for the greater good. We've been told all of these things throughout our life that, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Not true. That is a lie. It's a lie to control you, and frame actually releases you from these bonds, because when you have your boundaries and expectations solid, you start to see things for what they are. When we use Andrew as an example, he has seen things for what they are. His method of communication, he might shout, he might regulate the tempo and the pitch, but it is not untrue. Now, that may make an emotional response from people that have been conditioned without frame, because it's painful and takes work to establish frame. What Raith is talking about, establishing frame statement, is basically taking charge of your identity and how you process information with yourself and socially. And really, why do we say money, muscles, game, and frame? Frame really wraps that up in a pretty cool fashion. What he's saying is just absolutely incredible, in the fact that if you haven't done this exercise, I'd encourage everybody to do this. I can think of 3 or 4 instances where frame has saved me. Literally, that gut instinct that I have is based on the frame that I have established, through experience and through my own mental work. Does anybody have any other examples that would work well with what Raith just said about establishing frame and then seeing it actually pull you out of, social conditioning to your advantage? It'll keep you away from grifters too, that are trying to scam you if you have a good frame.
One thing I do want to bring up just before it gets lost in the chat is what Viking Paradigm said here.
Yep.
Frame is the shield, game is the sword.
Yep.
I think that is beautifully put. That's one thing that I think I was lacking in explaining to people, because I'm teaching people how to date, how to have the game, get things done. But then when they get into the relationships, they don't have the frame, they get walked all over. So I wanted to point that out. I thought that was an absolutely fantastic way to summarize it.
He's cool. He's one of our Vikings for sure out there, killing it right now with frame. That's really cool. I enjoy the analogy. Of course, you guys know my background, so of course I'm going to enjoy those things for sure. So you know what? I will while we're talking definition, Thor's definition is once you understand what Raith is talking about, I just kind of bring it up into the ability to project a dominant masculine presence using your established identity. To, in your best interest, create boundaries, expectations, and responses that are both congruent, attractive, and present a value to those you interact with socially and intimately. Of course, yourself being number one, So that's kind of wraps it up for me. And I'll use my money, my muscles, and my game to make sure that happens. Mark.
Yeah, I have an example in my life. I've mentioned this before, but I told my dad the same thing he told me, and they're still telling my kids the same thing in school. That if you don't get that high school education, you won't get a good job. And I believe in education. I think it's very important. But that's one thing that they want everybody to fit in to become great workers. Not that there's anything wrong with getting a good job, but that's not for everybody. I've always been a nonconformist, I would say, and I quit school when I was a sophomore, and I make more money than the people that work at the school. So, and isn't that the point they're trying to make? But they program people to believe that, and if you accept that, which would not be my frame, right. You may go through life as some people. Well, I can't do that. I didn't get a high school education. I'm not smart. Because that's the message.
Sure.
If you don't get a high school education, if you don't get that diploma, it's going to be a tough life. And many kids probably accept that and become drug addicts, alcoholics, or whatever. And that's just, it's not true. Of course, then when you raise an example to them, well, here's somebody that that's an exception. Basically, what they're saying there is you're not the exception. That's an exception to the rule. But anyone can be an exception to the rule if they decide to be and they put out the effort to move in that direction. So that saved me because I just didn't buy into that. I don't buy into the whole school system. Read, write, add, and subtract. I think that's great, but past that,
there's a whole that whole conditioning system based on B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning is all about, making you comply to social norms. Get the job, get the wife. That's fine. We'll give you a little reward, but you can't get the house anymore, guys, because they've inflated the money. But pay your taxes, continue on, own nothing, and be happy. It is pushing you in there. And when you have frame, you can see it for what it is. And you realize that all this is social conditioning and social pressure. Now, look at modern feminism, Mark. Women are so much easier because of their communitarian nature to look at each other and say, what's the social norm? What's popular? Okay, let's do that because that would save them and they would survive in bygone eras by doing that for sure. That's herd mentality. What's really, if you look at evolutionary, biology, them doing that and being selective, they've actually selected and bred us men to be combat ready and warriors for their benefit. And we have taken a reverse direction in society at this point. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We don't know the outcomes of it yet, but we're in the middle of it right now. So shut up, sit down, go get a job.
Yeah. Do what everybody else does and be like everybody else. That's the message I see.
Yeah. And yet be diverse.
Mark, I want to change that for you.
It's so contraindicated. It's like, be like everybody else, but no, better be diverse. Yeah. What does that mean?
So Mark, I want to change that for you. Don't be the exception, just be exceptional.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that is good.
Rock on. Good stuff.
Yeah, add to it. Come on, Andre. You got some stories. I've heard your stories. Tell me some stories.
Oh man. I'll give you a story, and then I want to answer the back end part of the kind of a side question that you did on our enslavement or our entrainment. I got a 2-year degree in lithography in 1 year, and I got done I think sometime in 1990, and I couldn't get a job in the field. And hey, you got a degree in it, you this 2-year degree, but you have no experience, and I hated that. And that's when I started to come across all this information that education is just to you become a good little slave, a good little boy, a good little girl. It wasn't about you becoming a man or becoming a woman. And so I remember I was broke. I was living in San Antonio, Texas. I was working one job, and I was like, man, I got another job. I had two jobs, two part-time jobs, and shoot, I had to go work overnight as a janitor at a movie theater. And I was, before I did that, but I remember my grandfather, who had raised me, my grandparents, he started working when he was 5. Remember, it was a really nice, pleasant night in autumn. Had the window open on the patio. I was laying on the floor, just looking up at the stars. I mean, through the patio sliding glass door. And I was like, and he hit me, man, my grandfather would tell me stories of him picking watermelon, cotton, red beets, all the different, going from Texas to Michigan or Minnesota. And I was like, I'm a weak bitch. I said, I can't, if I can't get it, because no one wanted to be hiring me as a salesperson. It was the first George Bush administration, 1990. So I was like, I get more jobs, and I had to stack that. And then that's when I got into waiting tables and NLP, and that was off to the races. But that was my frame. Was at the time, a lot of people forget, like today, we all want to be self-employed, but back then is in the 90s. How many of y'all remember in the 90s, if you were self-employed, they looked at you like you had AIDS. Right?
Yeah.
It's like going, hey, we going to an orgy. All right, I got AIDS. Who wants first shot? And then so I was like, okay, I'm a weak bitch, and then I gotta go out there. I want to be self-employed. I want to learn this new thing called NLP and hypnosis, and I had to work. And I worked overnight. And it sucked. I mean, and then for years I worked 70 to 100. Sometimes when I was in the restaurant business, 120 hours a week. I got plantar fasciitis because of it, but I got my skill sets that I wanted. So my frame was, I got to work and then my grandfather was my inspiration. This man who had of no words, had a mom and pop grocery store for 49 years with my grandmother, and they raised me, and I got my work. I mean, I don't even go there because I'll fucking cry like a baby, but he was my inspiration,
You want to show your vulnerability?
I'm
just teasing, man.
No, it's just what he means to me, and without a man, my grandmother saved me from the darkness, right? Because I did come from. I know. I love you, brother.
Hey, you're safe here. You're safe here.
You're safe until we get to the internet. Don't worry.
Yeah, right. Well, I can fry that motherfucker.
We used to do that. We used to do that at work. What goes on a crew stays on the crew. But with the advent of these phones, it's like
not anymore.
What goes on a crew stays on a crew until you get to your phone.
Yeah. The other thing, if I may, Thor, on the back end of this is like, where does our entrainment? And you and Raith said it. The enslavement or being a good boy. It was the whole set. The entire world is under actually German occupation. The entire world. It's called the educational system.
Yeah.
When the Germans, after the Franco-Prussian War, they turned. I forgot what the experimental psychologist. He was a Prussian. They turned to him. The aristocrats said, because there were soldiers that were Prussian/German, and they said, hey, this is wrong. This is a sin. This breaks the commandment, right? And they bailed, right? And so they said, so they reinverted all society around public compulsory education. And they said all the people there in northern Germany said, no, you can't. Education is the responsibility of the church. And it was mostly Lutherans there, and they were saying, that's the church. Why would the state want to be involved in that? That's the church's job. I said, no, because then you can get good soldiers. And they and I'm without getting into all the technical thing, and all the big money people, all the big monopoly guys here brought that educational system over in 1901 here, and then was in full swing by the 40s, and that's what we're under. We're under this Prussian schooling system. And I forget the guy's name. It was right after the Franco-Prussian War, but it's to reinvert society, create one section. Why do you have first period, second period, third period? And there's the bell. Think about what the bell is. Bang, that's the Pavlovs. Next one. But it breaks the mind. If you stay on one subject long enough, you guys know if you're working out in the gym, sometimes you got to have a 2-hour workout. If you're having an argument, it's not 45 minutes, pee break. No, there might be pre-break, then you got to get back in the fight, right? So, but it's basically for Johnny and Jane, know their name, read enough to take Johnny and Jane, know their name, write their name, and take instruction. Why do you think when there was a particular president, when they had that weird kind of photo of him, and underneath it they had obey?
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I'm a nerd for this shit. This is my shit. And Wraith, it was beautiful what you said. Thank you for saying it. And
So
it goes
frame,
out.
when you define your frame and you understand that you're using the language to define the frame and you start being social interactive and you start to pay attention, you don't need to pay attention to the mainstream media or anything. You just see it in your daily life, the difference of man, I'm not going to use the term woke or being awake, but it is like it is like shining a light of truth on things around you, just seeing people kind of sleepwalking through life, as far as frame is concerned. Glenn, you're out here with me in California. We see a lot of people that don't have frame, and yet frame is controlled for us by our wonderful benevolent or maybe malevolent leaders here, even down to the very smallest level. Frame is conditioned here. You should be like the group.
Yeah. I see it all the time, especially in the entertainment industry. I mean, they push a very, detailed, descriptive narrative, intentional narrative all the time. Okay. And we're seeing it more and more get vamped up. Before, we didn't really see it that much. We thought it was subtle. It wasn't a big deal. And I'm talking about like how we viewed men or dads in sitcom TVs 20 years ago. Okay, you had Al Bundy, the misogynist, right, with his hand in his pants. Then you had, Everybody Loves Raymond, who really is just another child for his wife to mother, while his still failure to launch lived right next door to mom and dad type of thing. So it just they painted men to be broken children or just big ass kids. Kevin James, his wife ran this house. He had no frame. He lived in her frame. And in doing that, what they were trying to do was they were conditioning us to accept that narrative of married life where mom or the wife is really the boss of the house. And the dad is just either another child or just a supportive person underneath her, and really just kind of destroying the hierarchy that's not only biblical to have, but has been working for humanity for thousands of years, which is the husband is at the top, wife beneath the husband, and kids beneath the wife, in that order, as in importance or authority. But what they're doing is like, no, we're changing it up. Wifey's in charge. And in doing that, what we have seen men become less masculine. We have seen men defer authority to their wife. We have seen that over and over again and played out even in our own lives or your friends' lives. We have physically seen this happen in people that we know. I could tell you right now that I was not in charge of my household during my first marriage. I thought I was. I thought I was the top dog. I thought I was the boss. But I realized after getting zeroed out that my frame was destroyed. I didn't have none.
Yeah, most men don't even know that for a fact. And I wish I could have had you on the last show too. I know you were working so hard making really good movies, things like that. But I'd run across several articles out of the UK that I guess in Hollywood they actually kind of have DEI scales when they're writing these movies. It's the diversity, inclusion, and equity. So basically they have a woke scale. It's woke enough or not woke enough when they're doing projects at this larger corporate level, which that is a manipulation of the people and trying to set frame for them. Here's your new frame.
Well, it's also in order to get funding or even to get distribution. Because I cited, because you guys know that I have a movie that I wrote and I'm trying to get it out called Mind Dates. And the great thing about Mind Dates is the whole movie is about frame. When I learned the concept of frame after getting zeroed out, it was the one thing out of all the things that I've learned so far, the one thing that stuck so deep into my mind that I was like, I am going to master frame. I'm going to control my frame. I don't care about anybody else's frame, but my frame will be controlled only by me. and it influenced me to and inspired me to write a romantic comedy, or what we like to call a dick flick, about Frame and how guys struggle with Frame, and the characters in it, were based off of experience that I had or other people had about Frame and stuff like that. So Frame is huge. And in Hollywood, like when we have these meetings, as you're mentioning, they literally ask you, well, who's this movie for? Do you have any gay people in it? No. Do you have any trans? No.
Hmm.
Do you have a strong female lead? No. So wait a minute. So you're
Wow.
saying this movie is just really tailored to men? Well, yeah. I mean, there's chicks in there, and they're supporting actresses, but the leads are all men. Like, what do you want me to tell you? And they were literally like, you may want to rethink that if you really want to get big funding. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to rethink it because this is what I came up with, and this is
That's
what I
the
want to work.
story.
That's the story. I'm not changing it.
Well, that's
And we
the front
wanted-
end of cancel culture. Is we won't accept your contract unless,
Mhm.
right?
Yep. So I mean, it's tough out here if you are trying to create, good content for movies and have to deal with the wokeness, or the wokies, I like to call them.
Glenn, have you noticed? Because you're a movie buff too, as well as really embedded in the industry. Have you noticed? And I've talked to my brother about this too. That things that are written now are and coming about in real life. ERP Sensei is dead on. Everything is an antagonistic frame battle with women. I called it a combative communication style that has been conditioned for women to have. The challenges are immense. I just got through watching a Fresh and Fit episode where the gal was agreeing with him, but every time she said, well, I agree 100%, but, and then she'd go on a tirade, and he said, well, what are you arguing about? But I feel, and there was, then she would get down and say, well, yeah, everything you say is true, but, and it went on forever. What an incredibly strange, combative, masculine method of communication. Anytime you guys hear, I agree with you, but that is a challenge to your frame. It's a challenge
Oh
to the
yeah.
communication. It is not them agreeing with you. It absolutely is not. And it is not them understanding what you were actually saying.
No, it's like they
recognizing
want to agree with you with a caveat that they place in it.
that gives them,
It
yeah,
gives
that's
them,
great.
that gives
Yeah.
them some control, or the feeling that they have some control.
Do you realize if a man did that to you, it's actually a challenge?
Oh no, yeah,
Which I accept
we're getting ready
as
to
a
throw
challenge,
down.
and that's okay. No, it's a challenge that I'll accept because maybe it'll make me question. Oh yeah, you know what? That's my lieutenant. I better figure that out if it's that. And he's just being good with me to do that. There is that,
Well,
but
it depends on the situation at hand, but like when it is a challenge, and for guys, we're like, typically we either going to naturally either, as you did, question like, okay, if it's your superior, you're gonna be like, okay, I can take that.
Yep.
But if it's somebody that, I'm just gonna be like, wait a minute, you want to?
Well, they do that, and then they
get down
use
with
the
this?
fallacy. They use the logical fallacy always, in my experience, or they'll agree with you, but speaking for women, that right there discounts everything that you just said, and it's actually a disagreement.
But Cor,
Emotionally.
Thor, why it's not a challenge among men? Because men evaluate each other on their competencies.
Oh, true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking to you about something that you recognize that I am a competent in or an expert in, you're willing to listen to that and evaluate that based on how or what your perception of what I'm saying is. Okay. But with women, it's not about competency. It's about they're trying to gain agency all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it really is through their sexuality. Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
So if they say I agree with you, but they're looking for a way to gain recognition for the difference. And men, when we're doing that, we're looking to find a solution to a problem, and we're looking to find the commonalities so that if we depart on any one thing, we figure out how that works into the relationship or how that works into the job, the conversation, whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
But like I said, yours is based, your perception of what he's saying is based on what you perceive his competencies are.
That's a good clarification. Yeah.
And her perception of what you're saying is based on what she wants to feel based on what you're saying, not whether you have competency or whether she recognizes the competency.
100%.
That's why it feels combative to us, because we're sitting there saying, hey, you know, this is true. And if you can accept that's true, you know, how do we blend what you're saying, or how do we accept what you're saying? But that's not her objective. Her objective is to win the argument.
Yes, that's part of the logical fallacy that's being conditioned for
Right.
as part of feminism. I want to stop the show just for a second, because that is so important. But I want you guys, look, if you're watching this on any one of the 5 channels up right now, go hit the like button and subscribe. The Dragon Ship is on sale, and every man here has got an oar, and that's you in the chat. You got an oar. Let's row in unison here. I want to get to the next segment here on frame, because look at this. I mean, look at what he's saying. The antagonistic frame battle is so important. We have a beautiful example of this, and why you should establish the frame as if being instructed by Raith and the other men around you to lift you up and understand where you're at, and then you apply it in real life. We're going to look at a real life application of a top G doing his frame. We're going to look right at it. And if you don't think that women are not conditioned to actually be combative with men, this is a narrative. I accept it. I accept the challenge because it's beneficial to me, but it will destroy many, many, many relationships. Look at this. And it's happening in the West. Money Mitch is there in Australia. God bless you for being in such a dystopian 1984 Orwellian shithole there in Australia. Money Mitch says, there is a woman in Australia where I live who teaches courses about embodying sacred rage, attacking the patriarchy in every form. Fascinating. Did somebody have one more thing? And then I want to
I wanted to say,
go right into the frame control that we're going to witness and comment on at the level of men and women interacting very much in a combative or a shit testing manner. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about frame when it comes to relationships real quick.
Yep.
See, I used to think that I would have to have the frame to convince her to want to be in my frame, but that's not it. Okay, when you have good frame, when your frame is on point, the woman that you're seeing or interacting with is going to want to sacrifice her frame, give up her frame, because your frame looks so good that she wants to be in it. That's when you know you have a good frame. That's when you know your frame is solid. When you could not, without even trying, she wants to give up her frame to live in yours. And that's how it's supposed to be. But if you are feeling that you are trying to convince her of your frame, like, oh yeah, look at my frame. This is my frame. My frame's so good over here. You should want to be over here. If you feel like you have to do that, then you really don't have frame locked down. And actually, you're kind of working in her frame, trying to convince her to consider your frame. I just wanted to say that about the relationship aspect before we go any further. There was a note that I have, and I just didn't want to forget it.
No, it fits right into where we're going to go next, and so does this right here. You're going to see this next interaction. We're going to turn it over to Huds. He's going to lead the show on this, and it's really, really interesting. I think that you guys will find it when you have frame. And when you're interacting with somebody, even though they may be extremely combative and have extreme political views that are different, you can still have a very enjoyable interaction, because that frame will allow you to speak with finesse and be able to still hold your expectations, keep your boundaries intact. And it's fascinating to watch someone that has that kind of frame control when they're interacting. So Huds, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself? I know that anybody that wants to comment, go ahead and just shout out, and Huds will stop and we'll comment on these. Or Huds will pause after each interaction, and we can all add our 2 cents. And you know what? Chat, comment on it. We'll answer your questions.
Yeah, one last thing I want to say when you're talking about commenting and what you said before about liking the videos and we're streaming to multiple platforms. Guys, if you don't I can't speak for everybody here because I know everybody has very busy lives, but if you ever have questions on these types of things or you don't want to speak up in the live chat, go ahead and comment on the YouTube video. I'll go ahead and respond to it. If you got specific questions, whatever. So definitely like, comment, subscribe. We're going to be bringing out a heck of a lot of stuff as time goes on. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I don't know if anybody's seen this before. I know I had seen it once before. It's what exactly was it? It was a date, or was it supposed to be an interview? What exactly was it, Thor?
This gal is kind of she's famous on Instagram. She's Brit. She runs a show. She's a single mother, mid-30s, and she has decided to, broadcast her dating, essentially her meeting of men, because she's not getting the right quality she wants. Essentially, this is my perception of it, so I could be slightly off, but it really boils down to that. And she put the invite out to the top G to come over and date her, at least on this reality TV series that she is broadcasting and producing. It's well produced, by the way. And I think he is not what they expected, although I think they wanted more fireworks, but his frame and finesse is far too superior to what they expected to really get that. Now, I'm sure this was extremely popular. And right now, I'm sure they felt this was the best choice they've ever made, and they'll run around saying how smart they were, because look who is the most Googled man on the planet right now. Technically, he is the most famous man on the planet right now.
So before I play this first clip, I have to ask you, Thor, what color is your Bugatti?
Which one?
Yeah, which one? That's a good answer.
Which one, my friend?
Yeah. Oh man, there's just so many funny clips. Dude, I respect the hell out of this man. I love Andrew. I always have. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the first clip. And chat, if you can't hear it, let us know, and I'll make adjustments.
If you can hear it, type a 1 in the chat when we go. Notice his frame coming in, guys. A lot of body language here, and he's going to use Kino.
Very nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hi.
You look really nice.
Thank you. Let's do two kisses. 1, 2.
Oh, very nice to meet you. What's
Very
your
nice
name?
to meet you. Andrew Tate. What's your name?
Andrew. Nice to meet you. Cheyenne. Or Cheyenne Reynolds, if you're doing this house.
Cheyenne Reynolds. We're
Yeah.
going to do official.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Cheers. I think she's.
I think that's a good place just to pause right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk on that, because that the way he entered the room.
Well, I often do when I talk about creating a dominant masculine presence. His head's up, shoulders back. He's walking with a purpose. He is inviting and smiling. He's projecting energy. I've talked before about projecting energy and emotion. And then he does something unexpected. Most men won't touch a woman when they first introduce. He is taking command of the situation, but not in a creepy fashion. Big smile, introduces himself, and he does something really important. He shakes hand, which she expects, because guys will do that. And then he says, "We're doing this." He puts her off guard. "We're doing this." And he kiss side, kiss this side, boom. Something nobody else has done. He's differentiated himself in such a way that she's extremely intrigued at this point. And watch her body language as you move forward. She's going to shit test him, though. Watch when it comes to her first thing is going to question his ability to provide. He holds frame in a masterful way, uses some amused mastery. He's going to pass her shit test, and we all know what's going on here when she asks him, but she's going to ask him, "What do you do for a living?" So enjoy this part of him holding frame. It's pretty cool.
So one thing, and I get a question for, are we going to play from here?
I think so. It's coming up real quick here. So,
Okay.
just let it
Well,
break.
Real quick, I wanted to say, like, when he walked in the room, did you notice that, like, he commanded presence, like as you mentioned, his stature. He did Kino. He tapped the chair to let her know that he was there. Also, he instructed her how the greeting was going to be.
Yep.
She was operating in his frame, doing that automatically, naturally too. Naturally.
There's some other things I want to point
Very
out
nice to meet
here.
you.
Hello.
Next
Hi.
one.
You look really nice.
Thank you. Let's do two kisses. 1.
So one thing I want to note too there to really establish that Kino, that's one thing that I caught. It wasn't just a one handshake; it was a hand and then the other hand over top. That's something that Trump does as well to establish dominance on the other person. I noticed it a lot with him, and one thing what you had said a lot of times when guys meet the girl for the first time, they don't do that. And that's one thing that I always tell guys when I'm coaching them. Even if it's just like the one arm hug, you need to have some type of comfortability in Kino at the very second the interaction starts.
That subcommunication right there sets him at a level to where he's in a position to really dominate her compliance test as they come in, instead of being caught off guard. It's pretty cool.
And also, if you look at, see him being over her, I mean, imagery wise, she's looking up to him, what guys want all their women to do is look up to them. I mean, just imagery wise, it also very fits that I control the frame narrative aspect.
And at her core, she's enjoying it. And here's the thing, she has to project what she's created here. She's a boss babe, single mom. Think of it from those terms. She can't give those things up openly, but watch her interaction.
Look at how her face is a different color than her hands. All right, I digress.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Andrew Tate. What's your name?
Andrew, nice to meet you. I'm Cheyenne. Or Cheyenne Reynolds, who's in this house.
Cheyenne Reynolds. We're
Yeah.
going to do official.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
I think she's an attractive woman. She's good looking. Friendly demeanor. I can tell she thinks she knows things, so I look forward to correcting her. But that's usually how life works.
Finally, see? A man that makes an effort. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah? Okay, where are you from?
I'm American, but I lived in England for a long time. I lived in a very prestigious part of the UK. I don't know if you've ever heard of Luton.
Very
Prestigious.
Yeah.
Yeah, number one.
Luton! Okay. Was not expecting that.
So I was in Luton for a while, and now I live in Europe. So I'm just
Okay, because your accent, it's like really different, isn't it?
It's pretty mixed up. I'm like a street dog, my dear. I've been here, I've been there. Half American, half English, half Luton, half everything else.
A bit of a mix.
Bit of a mix.
That's cool. So how did you get here today?
I flew this morning.
Flew in. It's different. Saying different.
Yeah. Jump on the jet.
Flew in on a jet.
Discovery.
I love that. It's just subtle. It's just
he didn't
subtle.
disclose it. She discovered it by asking right.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I want to point out too. When you're on dates and you're talking with women, do not be overt, but you can also have leading statements so that they end up asking a question afterwards that allows you to reveal something. But don't just tell her, like, if he came in there and like, oh, like bumbling idiot, didn't do any of that stuff. And it's like, yeah, I just flew in on my jet. What's up, sweetheart? Like, it just comes across awful. It just doesn't vibe.
Who is this guy?
What about you? You have a mix, no?
Yeah, my family, we're Caribbean and English.
So the Caribbean side is the crazy side. Or
Nice.
the English side is the crazy side.
I'd say the Caribbean's the fun side.
Fun
A bit
side?
spice.
So you're fun and crazy.
Not crazy.
It's the beginning of the day, you can't lie.
Do I look like
Playful.
I'm lying to you?
Love it.
Yes.
I'm not a liar, actually.
You're not a liar. Everything you tell me for the rest of this episode is going to be a complete truth.
Yeah.
Promise me. Say I promise.
I promise. No, I really promise.
Compliance test.
Honesty
Yep.
means-
We'll see. All right, we'll see.
Yeah. So what do you do?
I think of a lie. Give me a second.
No, you can't lie.
You have to tell the truth. I don't have to tell the truth.
Why?
Vince, we already
We
agree.
didn't
You're telling the truth. There's only one of us can tell the
Beautiful
truth. One of us
control.
can lie.
That's not good stuff.
I'm a shoe salesman. I sell shoes, socks, shoe accessories, polish, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I sell shoes.
That's good.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Surviving. Sultan.
I love how playful that is.
She gets real playful, and he just called her on it. Yeah, I didn't agree to be not lie. You did. He's commanding the whole thing. That's holding frame at a personal level, definitely.
It's one thing that I'm working on with people right now. And when Andre and I did our first initial webinar on the course we're going to be launching, talking about directing conversations, because that's the very important piece. You need to be directing the conversation towards where you want it to go. If you're talking to somebody and you're trying to set a date, well, don't chit chat. I'll be your text buddy. But if you're trying to get a date with this girl, direct the conversation towards it. And Andrew is phenomenal at doing that.
And I would just say this one thing. Pay attention throughout this. The flow and pacing and voice control, emotional inflection is super important here. And if you've ever had a chance, I haven't met him directly, but I've met Jay Waller, and I'm good friends with Sterling Cooper. They do this too, and they do it socially to a degree that you can't ignore it, and it's an amazing superpower. And if you guys want to learn this, Thor's DragonShip monthly membership, we have a group of men that meet monthly for 3 hours, and you get to practice this very thing as you present your own subjects to the group of men to help you achieve this level of skill. So go, I dropped the link in there before. Join Thor's DragonShip monthly membership. Completely uncensored, this panel and the guys that are here can attest to the type of uncensored instruction, coaching, consulting that goes on in there. It's pretty amazing. We've even gone so far as to offer actual education from extremely high level men that have multi-million dollars in assets worldwide on increasing your financial prowess to go along with this type of frame control. Go ahead.
2 pairs of shoes yesterday. Life's good.
Okay, that's good. He's a liar. So tell me a bit about you, Andrew.
I'm not comfortable opening up too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you might work for John Law and the government. You have to be careful what I say.
Oh, so it's not commitment issues.
It's not commitment issues. It's more just like legality issues.
Oh, okay.
I like to go to church. I'm a man of God. Play Scrabble.
So I want to point out there, because I do this shit for a living. He actually stumbled. But with him stumbling, that's why he brings in I'm a man of God, because he realized he was stumbling in the conversation.
His ability to adopt into the subcommunication was really good. That's really good too. He understands that subcommunication really well. That was all I had for this part of the clip. If you have your other clips you wanted to point to and have the guys comment on, any of you guys want to comment on this particular clip on how he handled he had his frame, and he's been using it pretty well interacting with women. Of course, we all want frame in all aspects of our lives, but as modern masculine women, we certainly want to exercise this in our relationships to our advantage and to also lift our ladies up.
I want to point out his body language, that the way that his posture is, when the way that he's sitting there, very controlled. It's also bringing her in just by the way that he's answering the questions. Yeah, I took my jet, flew my jet. Nonchalant, she asked him how he got here. He told her. And the way that his stature is, she's like, oh, really? She's drawn into him. She's really curious. And that's comes with him controlling the frame.
If I can add, if you notice that, right, like in this image that's here right now, and a few moments before going into it, she thinks he's good looking. He's got frame control. She's totally buying in, baby. But she's also, you can see it where she's resisting it. She is, if you look at this, she is resisting it because she's like, oh, I could lose myself to this dude. So, she goes, oh, my clothes are going to be off here in 30 seconds. You can.
She's fighting herself.
Right. I know. This is where she's resisting the frame, and she's fighting. She's like, she's like, where do I go? And then the other thing, great comment on the body language, Glenn. Perfect. I'm also, because he's playing, just what's the emotional state? Put labels to it. Dude, he is having fun and he is playing.
Yep.
He feels comfortable. Yep. You're right where he lost his frame a little bit. That's where you notice not a state crash, but just a dip. And then he came out. He said, oh, I'm a man of God. Or
It-
how
it
he
was-
said, "Oh, I'm."
Good finesse. Yep.
It wasn't
It's
a
what I
loss of
thought.
frame. It was more of
Where
like
am
a
I going?
sidestep. Yeah, like
Yeah.
sidestep. Like, oh, got off course a little bit here. Let's re-navigate this, redirect.
Yeah. So this is what
But
I
if you
call.
look at
I
even
would call-
her, look how she's looking right now. Like she's trying to look away from him. You know, she doesn't want to make eye contact because she doesn't want to give him the insight that she is into him.
Oh yeah, and she's it's the whole thing. She's fighting herself and fighting the moment. It's really brilliant to watch. When he goes, "Oh, I'm a man of God." If he said, "Oh, I'm my," there's a thing what I call the unconscious response, and what it is what I use my signal when I tell my guys is I go, notice when the unconscious, like when you see that thing come up from the unconscious or into the conscious awareness, and he goes, "Oh, I'm a man of God," and then he's back on track. He's targeted in, and he's playing. He has that fun, mischievous, playful attitude, which was one of my goal states for guys to have to being in their mental mindset as a frame.
Correct. It's all good analysis.
I'd like to make
Guys,
a
you're going to
point.
learn a lot here. Hud, you ready to move to the next one?
Mark, did you have something you were going to say?
Yeah, I want to reiterate on what you said. It's very important when you go to shake someone's hand. I would guess she shook his hand like a man. She didn't give Tate her hand. I'm just guessing because you can't see it, or I can't see it from here. And like you said, he came around with the arm around the shoulder, and then she reached up and tried to. She come up with her hand, if you notice, not in this clip, but the other clip, and then he leaned down for the kiss on both cheeks. So she had no option to try to take back control after he did that. But that's very important when you shake someone's hand like a man or a woman, because when a woman shakes your hand like a man, she's saying, I believe they're saying to you, I'm equal to you physically. Well, they're saying I'm equal. He took that away from her by leaning in. Okay, but when he did the kiss at the last, she had no option. She had nothing to come back with to put her back into control. I just thought that was interesting if you took it all the way to the very end of that part of the interaction.
Very much so. I thought that entire opening, like he there is no better way to set frame than what he did right there.
Yeah, he finished the whole that little short interaction in a dominant. He set the frame there.
Perfect. Okay, so the other clips that I have, so one thing I do want to mention is that throughout this interview, she does get more combative.
Yep.
And so some of these other points may not be so much, body language one to another on frame, but they are still about like frame in I wouldn't say an argument, but a frame in debate, which I find interesting to see how he handles some of these things. And I'm also curious what everybody has to say on the specific points that they talk about.
Yeah, it's interesting. She's definitely that single mom, a boss babe. This is her show. There's a lot for her to protect based in the feminine ideal that she's conditioned to, particularly, you've seen this all over the place. Yet, if you notice, she's still a woman. He's got finesse and he has dominant masculine presence in the face of this combative type of, in communication interaction. Pretty interesting. Thank you, Tides.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this here.
Every man out here knows that disloyalty is the most disgusting thing a female could ever do to her man.
But are you loyal?
Let's not pretend that male loyalty and female loyalty are the same thing.
But loyalty is loyalty.
But they're not the same thing, are they?
Why is it not?
Because men and women are not the same.
We are not the same. You are correct there.
Okay, so we agree.
No, but
Boom.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. I see that all the time in Fresh and Fit.
It's what we've been talking about
And now she's going to rationalize it out.
I'm not agreeing
with emotion.
being dishonest, cheaters, liars. He's deluded.
Why do you think men and women are different?
We carry children.
Correct.
We nurture. We're, compassionate, emotional beings.
Yep.
Men are very different.
I agree.
However, I don't think it's very fair for men to sit with the opinion that it's acceptable for men to cheat.
I didn't even say that, but I think if we, as intelligent, logical beings, as you are and as I am, if we agree that men and women.
That is so good an argument.
He didn't say that at all. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, and then it's also to compliment the other person.
Well, he's
Yeah.
setting. He's giving her, the credit of, you are intelligent. Like, I'm gonna give you that. And so since you're intelligent, he's kind of framing it to where, like, since we're both intelligent people, we could understand logically and see rationally how this outcome would be acceptable. And that's what he's leading to, at least.
Yeah, he is controlling the frame and making sure that the frame of this argument or discussion is going to go in his favor. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Can I make a quick comment here just on the body language? They were very much in rapport. He had his hands, it looks like his right hand was over his left. And then she had something similar, but her resistance to it is that instead of doing this with his power, the apex thing, she was doing the inverse of that in between. And then when they both uncrossed and brought their hounds down, because she did this first, she brought her, it did it on the table. I can't see if you can see this. She started doing this stuff in front of her, so that she's like, that's actually, she's trying to pierce him. So that's what, so like right before this, if you watch that, I know it's very subtle, but that's the little nuances that I love all this shit. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's
right
where
there.
she's so that's where she's like, she's disagreeing. That's where she, even though, and look at him, his hands are relaxed, even though they're crossed. In one sense, they still have that rapport piece, but she was outstretched, and he's very comfortable. And even though
he doesn't look shaken at all.
Right, but she can see this. So this goes back to what Thor was saying. Oh, I have to protect. I am a boss babe. I have to protect my. I have to protect my business and all that. So this is where I have to start giving resistance, because even though she's not buying into his frame as much, she is. But again, she's resisting him, but she's still saying, I have an identity. Women are judging me. That whole judgment. What do others think of me? Right. Yep. It's kind of like what Glenn said the last thing. It's great. How did you say it, dude? It's free to be. If you're a villain, it's free to be villain, or freeing to be villain.
Being a villain is the most freeing character.
There you go. There you go.
You're not stuck in a box.
Right. So that's a frame. And whatever our brother is, and I think he's a good man. Honestly, I think his intent is what? To help guys, right? But she's like, I got to take care of my business. I've got stuff. I got to look good to the ladies. I got to look good to my audience. That this is an attractive man. He's making lots of money. So she, in her head, I don't think she was really prepared for this. And one, I know she was. In another sense, once you're in the presence of celebrity, how many of y'all have met celebrities or big politicians that the whole world knows, it's very interesting to have that experience. But I don't, at this point, when she's doing the whole, I've got to pierce you, I've got to pierce your bubble. It's the whole thing. Like when you see the Canadian guy on Shark Tank, he's always doing this. I think he has an Irish last name, bald guy on Shark Tank.
This is power. This is a power.
Yeah, that's just, and he does it all the time. He leans in, power, I'm in charge, and he's always doing this. Always doing that. So
it's supposed to represent a phallus, I mean, it's a penis. Is what she's doing. She's holding up her dick with her hands. Okay.
Hey, glad I find you eating beer the next time we meet. That was awesome.
So she did one more thing before you move on that is common. I go into this detail when we do a lot of the courseware and the consults, but you'll find this when you're talking. She made an assumption about what she said about loyalty and put it on. She projected onto him saying it. She assumed that that's what he was saying. He didn't say anything about the cheating at all. He just said it was different between a man and a woman. She put that on him. You'll see that. I don't know if you'll see it here, but you guys will all notice this because you see this done a lot. When men and women are talking, you'll get a reframe of whatever they're talking about. And they'll say, so what you're saying is this, and they'll project their image onto it to take frame from you. You see this a lot in interviews. Just keep in mind when you're in this combative type, they're trained, they're conditioned to do that right now. So thought I'd bring that up. Hey, did somebody mention something about the audio from the audience? Did you catch that?
Yes. So shout out to you, Juan. Appreciate it.
Juan.
I forgot to set that when I was doing it, but I got it fixed now, so we're good to go. Thank you so much.
You guys in the chat, man, Viking, Paradigm, all you guys, even though I haven't mentioned you, Juan, Korea, all you guys, thank you. Danny, appreciate it. Appreciate your support on our new time and all 5 channels that are going out right now. Thank you.
Good stuff. So you guys let me know. Give it 1 in the chat if this is better.
We, as intelligent, logical beings, as you are and as I am, if we agree that men and women are not the same, then our paradigms on how we enact in certain regards cannot be seen as the same.
So,
right?
so if I'm with you,
Correct.
and I then cheat,
That's disgusting. I can't believe you even said that on YouTube. You see, you just said that on YouTube. I'm
Just
sorry
like
to the
it.
world. Please don't listen to this.
No, but it happens.
No, it doesn't. No,
No,
it
but it
doesn't
does.
happen. No, no,
People
no, no. Please don't say this on YouTube. You're going to corrupt the youth. I'm sorry for her. I'll pray for her. These things can't.
So this is a little cocky douchey, but I love it. I love it because this is the type of things you can do with teasing on a date.
Well,
And
and
if
he's
you-
also sorry. Go ahead, Huds.
No, you're good, Glenn.
He's also setting a boundary with her, like letting her know, no, women cheating is disgusting. It's not tolerable, and he's telling her it's not acceptable, and you shouldn't even suggest it or even mention it as women doing so, because it's that distasteful and should be that disgusted for everybody to see. He's setting that boundary right now with her, letting her know like it's just not acceptable whatsoever.
When you look at his body language as well, he's setting that boundary, he's following it through with body language that pulls away, which I think is brilliant. I don't know if I had anything else for this one. We can go to another one. It's just a lot. It becomes a lot of debate back and forth, which you guys don't stay on dates with women that just argue with you. I understand this is just a show, so it's different. But if a girl just starts arguing with you on things, don't try and win. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to give you a headache.
I'm a high value woman, right? You said it yourself.
How can you be high value if 50 men have something to do?
If I've just been single for a long time.
No,
Why is it
Actually, let me
whereas
go
a
right
man,
before
if he
that.
sleeps with a bunch of chicks, doesn't matter. Who cares?
So would you be with me if I'd
Looks
slept
like
with
your
a-
mic's picking up the volume too.
It is.
Yeah, I'm getting echo on this side. Is echo cancellation on?
Should I go?
Yeah,
back?
I'm getting it on my side too.
All right, I'm just gonna do what I was doing before.
Yeah,
Was it
go back to what
quiet
you're doing.
before, or-
It was
All
just
right, Juan,
the level wasn't good. Yeah, but
Juan,
I'm getting
I
echo now.
retract my compliment.
It's okay.
I'm a high value woman, right? You said it yourself.
How can you be high value? 50 men have something.
If I've just been single for a long time.
No, unacceptable.
Why is it unacceptable?
A body count is probably the number one most easiest way to judge the value of a female. I actually think that no, I'm going to say this. I think 99% of the world's problems, and no one's going to understand this, and you can extrapolate, if you can listen to this statement and extrapolate it out towards society at large. I think 99% of the world's problems would be solved if females walked through life with their body count on their forehead. Because it would prevent all of the disintegration of morals. It would prevent so many things about the world.
But you know what? There's like
And women would be like, to be with me as a man, I don't want to put another number on my forehead. You have to be a good man. They wouldn't stop fucking these idiots and stop being idiots. And all the idiocy would disappear. All the degeneracy would disappear. Families would return. Virgins meeting their first man, staying with him her whole life and being proud of it. Couldn't we go back to such a beautiful age? All we have to do is start putting numbers on girls' foreheads. We could fix everything.
that attitude is disgusting. It's not about women.
Okay.
That was great.
This was the
That
first
was
time I
epic.
heard him say that. I think it is brilliant because it's true. Like, women don't want to have high body counts, and guys don't want women with high body counts, and she can't accept it.
Well, she can't accept it because she believes fundamentally that they are on the same level. They're equal in retrospect. She recognizes that they're different, but she still thinks that they're equal, and thinking that if she slept with 50 guys, that she should still be accepted as if she slept with one guy. You know, like her value doesn't diminish, and she doesn't understand it at all.
It's interesting, like when Fresh and Fit were talking about it the other day, and just me thinking about it myself. Like, you think Kim Kardashian, like, she's in her 40s now. She's had multiple children with multiple men. She's been married a few times. She has a sex tape on the internet. Nobody's going to treat her seriously. And that's not a knock against women. It's just reality. It's the same thing.
Well, I mean, really, it women don't understand that we don't care about their level of success, but we do care about their experience sexually and their body count. Because if everybody's seen what you got and everybody could watch it online, or everybody has experienced it, why would I want to just be one of everybody else? Like, I don't want everything everybody else had. That's nothing valuable. I want something that nobody else had, because that makes it valuable.
It's the scarcity that makes it valuable.
Yeah.
And that's why when you have a woman of class and elegance that's on your arm, it actually elevates your social status. She provides that. And I know that Tate and other things has talked about that very much so, as a woman providing value beyond just her raw agency. You know, in providing value to him, she actually enhances his social abilities by being a woman like that of class. Interesting. There's a lot of women that have that, shall we say, slut phase. Yeah.
Mr. Sensei, ERP Sensei.
There we go.
Absolutely. That's a point that we didn't just touch on, and I'm glad you brought it up, because you're absolutely 100% right. That wasn't the question. The question is about sleeping with 50 women. And she said, well, what if I've been single for a long time? That wasn't the question.
It was not.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. We got a smart audience. We really do.
I know we do. I love these guys and gals. Love you, Coca.
That's true.
Okay, let's play this through. I don't know if there's anything more on this, but then I got other ones as well. Actually, you know what? Let's just go to the next one that I got here. Unless anybody has anything else to say on that. All right, good to go.
So I think if a man has responsibility and he takes care of the woman and improves her life and makes sure that every single facet of her life, whether spiritual, physical, financial, etc., is taken care of, then he should have some degree of authority. I don't see why a man would take care of a woman and have no authority over her while accepting all of the responsibility that's getting played. You're an independent woman. Maybe you make your own money. You want to do all those own things. That's fine. Fantastic. But if I had a woman, I would say, look, I like that you do your own things. I like that you do your jobs. But let's keep it part-time. I want you to come with me. We don't go here. We don't go there. I'm taking you around the world. You're with me. I'm taking care of you, etc. And I'd expect her to listen to me in return. Why wouldn't she? I'm not going to tell you to do anything wrong or bad. But if I were to say, I don't like that dude, stop talking to him. I'm her man, not that dude. It shouldn't even be a competition. She'd be all right, cool. Well, why wouldn't it be?
But then if I said I didn't like that woman,
I don't know about that.
this is what I'm saying. It's just a double standard, and it's just like a power struggle. Like, it's about balance.
Like,
You know, and this is the thing. Like, I feel a lot of women could give you that life and be like, do you know what? He can have a girlfriend. He can. There's so many people that are into that.
I'm not even saying, no, I'm not a
No, but
cheater.
I'm saying there's people that are into that.
Correct. But I'm not a cheater. I don't want anyone to think this is about me. I'm talking about in general.
But do you think women want to sit here and look?
This is 100% projection. She is just she is looking at her past, and I mean, you can even see it in her eyes.
Stupid. Like, I might think, do you know what? Actually, I'm listening to everything you're saying. I'm agreeing and I'm liking it. But then, if you've got me out here looking stupid because you might be in clubs with all these women around you, making me look like an idiot, do you think I'm going to tolerate that? No. When you have men like you have explained.
This is an aggressive stance. Tate has never been aggressive with her. If you've noticed, like, let's pay attention to the lines here. So we'll pay attention to the lamps. Tate has never crossed his lamp. And if he did, it's just slight fingers.
Mm-hmm.
This is aggressive.
This is a great video for illustrating this.
Yeah, this is unbelievable to me.
It's it's as if you're trying to prove a point to the world that you're this great man that has all these options and you're so successful.
I agree.
And it doesn't work
I
like
agree
that.
with you. If there was a man, which is not me, because I'm a one-woman man, but if
I'm a
there
man
was
of
a
God.
man who decided to have multiple girlfriends, his approach certainly wouldn't be sitting down and saying it the way I'm saying it. The point I'm trying to make is I think that the idea of a man having a girlfriend who he loves and maybe sometimes stepping out is not nearly as offensive as the idea of a woman having a man she loves and sometimes stepping out.
It's wild.
She has an extreme need to be right in her paradigm for which she was conditioned throughout schooling, social constructionism, and university, and feminism, of course.
It's crazy. Let's
I will
go
say-
on. Go ahead.
I was going to say that this is kind of interesting. I've never watched this. I've got to go back. I need to watch this whole thing. I wish in interviews that they had a camera on. I always love it's the best situation is a camera on one person, the other person, one camera on both of them. His self-jet, it's really interesting. When he's doing his apex thing, he's not doing this, and he's doing over this, and he's lightly just whatever. Now, once you see, if you went into this movement, where you see people doing this, like they're going to wash their hands or they're getting ready for a meal, that's called self-soothing. Self-soothing when you get into
Andre, could you show that? Could you show that once more? I just put you full screen.
Okay, so thanks, man. So what it is that when he's his move, I have to do a whole body language thing on this, but anyway, so he has this very, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but he has this where his hand is over one piece, right? And he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this. He's not doing self-soothing. He's doing it in place where he's thinking and he's just lightly caressing part of I don't know if it's the front or the back. I got to watch. And I've seen three positions and that he's doing. And what he's doing, he's thinking it, and he's actually going through this analytical. You're actually seeing the emotional part of the brain and the logical side of the brain, and saying, how do I come up with good metaphors? Okay, which is brilliant. So Andrew, if you watch this, awesome, dude. Then when he brings his hand down, he goes onto the table. He does this ... which is you would say the engineer and the architect or the grammar person in the brain, and he goes ... It's like step one. What it is, we need step one, we need step two, and we need step three, and then we need two, we need three. And it's very interesting to watch that when he crosses his. Where some people some classic body language stuff say once you cross your arms, that means defensive. I'm putting it at guard. It can be. But what he's doing is you have to actually take it to and make it congruent with the person is actually saying. Don't go for the generalization. What is the person demonstrating? So by him doing this thing, like, okay, but he's not like, how am I going to beat her or whatever? She's completely relaxed, which I love. So I'm going to put that in. He's relaxed. He's cool, calm, and collective. And then he's going, okay. And you can actually see the logical and the emotional part of his brain demonstrating the frame and the message he's trying to get across. So, like I just did my thing, right? That's how I do my logical and rational. 1, 2, 3 is when my hands are separated. 1, 2, 3. But he did it at least in this situation. He put his hands on the table directly, and it was about 3 inches apart. He went 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and he was totally relaxed, even though when his hands are kind of crossed, like to here. I forgot what arm was what side was over what, but he's not really. He's just kind of like he's relaxed though. That's what I'm saying. He's relaxed. When she crossed her arms previously, where she was like, and then when Thor said she was the most defensive and her arm was all the way outstretched, that is an aggressive unconscious act. Okay, that is it's above a microaggression to a full-on aggression. Okay, so micro to maximum. So, I might even make an entire video on this. Is really good. So that's what I could do more, but it's basically that's the variation. It's very interesting to say Andrew Tate is not doing self-soothing. People that are really into the maximum, he's not. He's actually thinking. In his thinking, I can tell you is 1, 2, 3 next. 1, 2, 3 next. So there you go.
It's brilliant. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Andre.
If you're going to start sleeping with other dudes or whatever, then it's your problem. Baby, it's your problem. It's not your problem. But if you're going to be loyal to me still, then I take care of you. But if you're going to start saying, oh, no, I got a new man now, cool, he can pay the bills, it's not my problem.
No, when you have a child, that's your responsibility.
No, but if you want to start sleeping with other dudes, then it's his problem. It's an accident, right? So you shouldn't be punished in life, and the child's absolutely not innocent. I would take care of you completely, and I'd take care of the child completely. And I'd always want to be the child. But if you were to say now, after let's say a year or 2 years, whatever, I have a new man now, blah 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 blah. I'm like, all right, cool. Kids with me twice, 2 days a week, whatever it is. I'll make sure the kids looked after. But I'm not financing you in another man's lifestyle. I'm not just sending money to your bank at random and just making sure that you and this dude, whoever he is, are going on holiday and whatever. I'll take care of the child while he or she is with me. And I'll always see the child. And if you have a new man, you have a new man. You ain't my problem anymore. You can pay your own rent.
No, but I
ain't
feel
my
like
problem.
you still need to cover some sort of responsibility there. It's not.
But he said that he would cover the responsibility. He said he would take care of the child.
Some
Asking
sort.
to pay my whole rent. I'm just saying.
Okay, some sort. Yeah, but some sort is a reasonable
what you're
balance.
saying, I agree with what you're
But
saying.
they're gonna come along and say, "Oh, you're rich. Give me 10 G's a month," and you're fucking some next dude. The answer's no.
Yeah, but with that scenario, how do you know women aren't going to try and trap you?
I'm not a fool.
You're not a fool.
That is fantastic. I'm not a fool. I'm not a
Yeah,
fool.
definitely a chess player. He's thinking ahead.
If you
Yeah,
noticed right at the end of that clip, they both clasped their hands to their guards were up right at the end. The very end, if you notice, they both
Some
clasped.
next dude. The answer's
Yeah,
no.
but with that scenario, how do you know women aren't going to try and trap you?
I'm not a fool.
Yep,
Clasped.
I think it was her mimicking him.
I do too.
It could be, yeah.
It's just wild because she literally is challenging him on the words he said. Like, no, that's what they said. I would take care of that. That blows my mind.
Oh, look at
I
ERP.
also look. Oh,
Look
go
at
ahead.
the ERP Sensei's comment. This is true. Something that this is one of the big reasons that's not talked about why Andrew was taken off social media. He's holding them accountable for men and women and how things actually are, and that has not been done very often at all,
But the way that he's doing it is important too, because he's not bashing them. He's not saying all women ain't shit or all women are 304s. Like he's not doing that at all. He's saying, no, this is a standard. Yeah. This is my standard. And this is a standard that I have seen be successful. And if men and women can't live up to this standard, that is a failure. They are failing. And
he's doing it by helping the men understand, which is really interesting. And it terrifies a lot of the real solid. I mean, they banned him for no violations at all, no policy violations.
Well, I have to say it hurt my feelings, so I'm glad.
That's the bottom line. It's a feeling thing. They can't really. I mean, they articulate it by saying he's dangerous, but the real danger is in what? Did he hurt some feelings?
I don't even. I don't know. I really don't like the conspiracy thing of thinking that it's trying to get control. But I really do think it's feelings, and they don't want to deal with the public outrage, because dude, there are so many people that have said stuff about Andrew that are completely unfounded, and there's no proof of, just because they've heard one thing or saw one TikTok. I just can't. I don't understand. Like I keep asking my girlfriend about this. I'm like, I really don't think I'm getting smarter, but it's either I'm getting smarter or the world is getting stupider.
The world's getting stupider. Trust me. That's the way I look at it. But I want to say something about this whole scenario, this issue with Andrew, is that it's a combination of both. They don't like the narrative that he's saying because it's so counter to their narrative. And it literally, there hasn't been a guy that has been so captivating, so impressionable on young men and men in general in such a short amount of time, because he's not big in podcasting or social media. I mean, his Instagram was basically his cars and his house and shit. It wasn't like him coaching guys or saying anything. Okay, so he's made such a huge impact in such a short amount of time. And the woke narratives, the feminists were shooken. They didn't like it because they don't want to have anybody that impactful really affect and imprint on young men and change them from their views of how men should be, because they've worked way too hard pushing, Me Too, pushing toxic masculinity. They put a lot of work into socially conditioning men to where they are now, that anybody like Andrew coming out and making that type of impact is a huge threat and needs to be taken out.
And I will say this, Huds, it's not a conspiracy. It's a fact. Living here in California, it's a fact. DIE has been in place for 8 years now. It is a fact. You're seeing the impact of it on all the big techs now being revealed. It really, really is. I will direct you to Rumble once again, where RP Thor has a channel. You'll see the Elders Council, the men in age of emotionalism. It's a must see. Episode 5 of the Elders Council, which is now the DragonShip, we discussed emotionalism, and we had a 17-second clip of a woman going crazy emotionally and a man responding in an extremely violent manner. However, we got suspended for a week because of that clip. And yet, that clip was taken off YouTube and still stands on there today. I will say, if it is a conspiracy, it's not a conspiracy, it's a reality. And if it is a conspiracy, it is a conspiracy of popular culture, Marxism being ingrained into corporate culture, and a holier than thou attitude that places their class of elite above all others in what should be allowable. Yet, if they say it's okay to put a clip of man committing violence against a woman because that channel aligns with the narrative versus one that doesn't, and it must be removed, suspended, and punished because the message is slightly different.
Yeah, but it's okay to have senators twerking in their bikinis on social media, because that shit right there, that's women empowerment. Get that vote with that ass cheeks.
It's funny that you mentioned all this stuff. I was just looking into a story the other day, and while I don't exactly agree with the stance he was going or coming from, he made a really good point. And so I don't know if you guys know who Markiplier is. He's a large YouTuber, and this guy, he's black, and he got his video, like, whatever, restricted or something for playing a video game, just streaming a video game. And it's like almost the same footage, like the same like level or whatever the hell it was, as Markiplier did. And he went to repeal it, and then they didn't give it. And then he caused more uproar, and then they gave it back to him so it could be monetized. And then they realized, oh shit, this guy is actually talking about the fact that Markiplier had the same thing. We wouldn't repeal it, so we got to block them both now. So then they restricted both videos. And it's like, if your star player, let's say Markiplier is one of them, if your star player is making a lot of money on the platform, bringing a lot of attention, you're going to treat them differently than you're going to treat any Joe Schmo. Exactly as you're talking about, Thor, where this video exists on YouTube, but they punish you for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm really surprised, and if you don't think it's a conspiracy, how deep this support goes throughout, the government here in California and all the way to Washington. Is all of those companies are within 50 miles of each other, and they draw from the same pools across the nation for their leadership. And they do this. And yet, if you look at antitrust walls of the last century to prevent monopoly, if you view these as utility, if they become a utility in your life, these social medias and the applications, Uber, all of that stuff, the credit card most certainly should be a utility, right? Credit card processing, and yet you cancel somebody based on their speech. This would fall right into antitrust, yet nobody has offered any antitrust suits. I think the last one they did was Microsoft, and they basically beat it. So what happened with that? The political will is definitely not there because the narrative belongs with those in charge. I think it would actually qualify for antitrust monopoly issue.
Hey, I want to say something about, is the world getting stupider? Okay. I don't think the world's getting stupider, but what they're doing is they're controlling you through fear. And if you're in survival mode, okay, and you have nothing to survive against, because the reality of it is we all have pretty easy lives for the most part. And the Western world, or the what I want to say is the free world, and even in most of the communist countries, they have a fairly decent life. People aren't starving to death in the streets. You know, we're not being attacked every day. You know, that's changing. But if you're going to control someone, the easiest way to do it is to control their insecurities. That's what cults do. They prey on insecurities. And that's what the social media is doing now. They're preying on your insecurities. By being able to control and manipulate your insecurities, they can control and manipulate you.
Propaganda 101.
So if you rise above that, then you're not able to be controlled. So they use twofold. They control your insecurities, and they also control your comfort level. And that's through materialism. By having those two control mechanisms on you, they can control the way you vote, they can control the way you think, they can control your perception of yourself. And what we do is we ask men to change their perception of themselves. And by changing the perception, they gain freedom. And that is the worst thing that anyone can do, is to gain freedom for themselves away from whatever the social narratives are, no social norms are at the time. So are we getting stupider? No. I think we're developing a society of more fearful people. And the fearfulness forces them to react emotionally. And by acting emotionally, they can never become enlightened, and they can never change. They can't change their belief systems and those kind of things.
Well, Raith, wouldn't you say like being afraid of something that you not knowing really if you should be afraid of it is kind of stupid? Like, you know, like I was scared of underneath my bed as a kid for no reason. But then once I look underneath my bed, I realized I have nothing to be afraid of. And I thought I was stupid for being afraid of my shoes underneath my bed. So, I mean, isn't not knowing or not seeing if you should be afraid of that, if that's something that you should worry about, kind of stupid?
If you're not aware of something, all right, and let's face it, most of society isn't aware of what they're doing. If you're not aware of something, that doesn't buy into your intellect or your ability to think. It buys into the emotionalism that we live in today. Okay? By controlling your emotions, and one of the ways they control your emotions is through creating non-rational fear against something. Okay? Just take the current, crisis. If the Republicans come into power, they're going to destroy democracy. Now, there's no proof of that, but then they start giving you all these examples of how that's going to happen. And those examples can be, from an emotional standpoint, reasonable. But from an intellectual standpoint, are they? It's not that we're getting stupider, it's that we're not exercising rational intellectual thought anymore. And by not doing that, we're willing to take what anyone tells us as true. I would say that if what's happening in the world is that we're becoming less rational, and we're becoming less intellectually comparative. We can't compare this and that anymore, because if we do, that means that there's something wrong with us. We have to buy whatever the social norm is. You know, that's where we're at. My hope is that we reach young men and women, if they watch the show, to say, hey, that doesn't meet the standard that I want for my life. And that forces change.
Yeah, so we're at a point where in society we don't really question the information given. We just tend to follow as the orders come.
Right. There's no thought about or validation. We're not validating what we're being told. We're just accepting it.
Yeah, like there's no trust but verify aspect at all. There's
Right.
no trust but verify. It's just okay.
Right. That doesn't make us any less intelligent. But what it does do is it plays on the controlling of our emotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
I
you
see
talk
that.
about school shooters and stuff, and why young men are doing that now that they've never done it before, it's because there's no rational comprehension of what the result would be. It's all emotion.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, the whole school shooter thing, it has been has risen over the years. I mean, I think the first one that I remember was Columbine, and I think I was in high school at that time. And since then, we've had, I don't know how many, at least 100 at least so far I could think of. Maybe not that much, but since then, society has feminized boys. I remember getting suspended for fighting off school grounds after school, but as soon as the school heard about the fight, I got suspended from school. Like they punished me for something they had nothing to punish me over.
Right.
But it was their way of saying, no, that behavior is bad. That male behavior is bad. And since then, since we have feminized boys so much, they don't know how to respond. It's like they are dealing with their hardware telling them to respond this way, but their social conditioning software this way, and then they just break.
Right. And that comes back to, and I'm bringing it back, Thor. That comes back to the understanding that emotionalism has a place in your life, but rational understanding of yourself does more good than damage to you, and that your frame exhibits that. It exhibits that pure thought of what is acceptable and unacceptable to you based on those beliefs and values. We're trying to give that power back to young men.
Well said. Well said. Before I play this last clip here, I do want to give a shout out to you, Juan. I'm going to have to look into that. This is the first time we've been doing videos like this. But yes, I take back my other comment. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, man. So let's watch this last one here.
She can give him love. She can give him care. She can protect his spirit. She can add peace to his life.
Yeah. That's what we can add.
As a romantic partner.
Women can just do that as a friend.
No, they can't. That is a lie. You lied to me. A woman who is not romantic with the man cannot add genuine peace to that man's life.
Yes, they
Fucking
can.
lie.
Yes,
Lie.
they can.
Lying. Who are you lying to?
Okay, but this is what I'm saying. But you just think women are only good for just if they're there sexually.
It's not about being there sexually.
Yeah, but it is because they've just
a woman's job is to spiritually protect her man.
I mean, you can do it with a friend. You can also do that. Listen, I pray for all of my friends. Your perception of women
I pray for all my friends.
is messed up because maybe it's just the certain women that you know.
Stop trying to pretend I know bad.
No, but I'm saying, that's clearly what it is. That's clearly what it is.
No, it's not.
Because there's plenty of other good women, and this is why for me it's exhausting explaining this to you because there's so many good women.
I can't obtain anything I'm interested in from a friendship with a female. It's no hard feelings to girls. I don't have any female friends, not one.
It's just more because men would want to fuck their friends.
Men do want to fuck their friends. That's a separate.
Okay, so that's what.
No.
Okay, that's what it is really.
No, that's a separate argument. That's a completely separate argument that we can go into if you.
I hate when people do that and they just try and divert.
Mm-hmm. It is
I
very
would
right.
his female friend because if all these girls go, he's just my friend. Yeah, put on 20 stones, see if he wants to talk to you. Fuck no. Oh yeah, protect your spirit when you're fat. Oh, you can't do it anymore. You lost your spiritual powers, now you're ugly. Isn't that funny? Fuck out. It's bullshit, man. The man's trying to get laid, and the chick's enjoying attention. And I'm telling you that as a man, you obtain nothing from a female friendship. You obtain nothing but responsibility without authority. You're going to sit there and say, I'm her friend. I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to hang out with her. I'm going to take her to the cinema and buy her a ticket. She can go home with some other dude. Stupid. I'm not saying I won't be polite to be, hi, nice to meet you. Good to see you. Bye. I'm never going to be like, hey, let's go for dinner. We're just friends.
Why? But friend dates is a thing. This is
You're lying, my brain.
No, but this is what I'm saying to you because it needs to be normal.
What do you guys think? Are
He's
friend
speaking the
dates-
truth, and this is why he's banned. He's speaking the truth, and they don't want to hear that. It hurts their feelings, and it takes that authority away that they've the power of their agency used to obtain resources without having, the responsibility and everything else that goes with it. This is how men think, of course, at the core level. Can they be exceptions? Of course, but this is where they think. This is where it goes.
I got some questions. So, Raith, when's the last time you went on a friend date with a girl?
Never.
Never.
Glenn, when's the last time you went on a friend date with a girl?
I've never gone on a friend date. Like I don't even really have many female friends. I know a lot of females. I've worked with a lot of females. I don't consider a lot of females my friend. Like I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
What about you, Thor? When's the last time you went on a friend date?
Yeah, I don't. I have friendly female acquaintances or companions. That's it. There's no friendships like between men.
But did you not listen to her? She said friend dates are a thing.
Yeah, maybe when her and her girlfriends get together to get their nails done and talk shit, and go
Does that
shopping,
mean-
that's a friend date.
No, she's saying friend dates between men and women are a thing, and she just doesn't understand the reality. And I can understand why he's getting so frustrated here. It's unbelievable. There's always, at least in male and female relationships, there's always one person who is interested in the other. Now, I have had and still do have some female friends because I genuinely enjoy their company. However, I know that they want to fuck me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference, and that's not what she's able to pick up on, and that's what he's trying to explain. That's why it's like, oh my God, it's like blowing my brain right now.
Well, I think he needed to explain it this way. If you explain it this way, it would probably be a little easier. Now, guys, have you ever been in a relationship and there's a female that you work with and your significant other notices the way that female acts around you and is immediately like, be careful around her? And you're like, what are you talking about? We're just coworkers. There's not a big deal. No, be careful about her. We're just friends. No, she's into you. Women even know.
They do.
They know that men and women cannot be platonic friends. It's not fundamentally wired. We're not fundamentally wired that way. So they know. They just choose to ignore it or deny it when it's convenient for them. It's a cognitive dissonance thing.
Now, women know this. All of them know this at an intrinsic level or an instinctual level, that their only agency is their sexuality. They know it. So this is her really lying to herself, because it doesn't work that way, really. It's pretty amazing. But this is wonderful, because his response to it is exactly what we all know, and what people that actually deny it end up in the situation where the explanation to the male is, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I was drunk. He was hot. I don't know. It just happened. They can't even explain it themselves, but that's where it ends up. Is there any more of the clip you want to show, or is that it?
I can play the rest of it. I don't know if there's anything else, but it's interesting. I mean, we're not even talking frame anymore. We're at the end where she's getting very combative, but it's still interesting. So let's play like another minute or so.
normalize, because if you don't have any female friends, you're just basing all your philosophies on just women that you don't even talk to.
Men who pretend to be friends with girls are just trying to get laid because there's nothing else to do with a friendship with a girl but trying to get laid. It's just some beta male bullshit trying to pretend to get laid.
Okay,
If they were G, they just.
So I do, as I said, I do disagree with this because I have female friends that are interested in me and they bring some sort of value into my life.
Try, she'd say no, and then move on with her life. Yes, they.
Okay, I've got a long list of good male friends, so we'll just agree to disagree on this.
Put on 10 stone and text them. Good luck.
Yep. Yeah, put on 10 stone, then text them, see what.
Ridiculous. But it's funny. No, I encourage everybody to take a look at this full interview and just pay attention to things as they progress, because it gets extremely, or not extremely, but it gets like over time, it gets more and more aggressive from her end. Like you saw how it began from the very beginning. He had his frame, everything was great, and she was mesmerized by him. And then as time goes on, things start to change because her beliefs are being challenged.
He doesn't let go of it though. It ends pretty good, and he maintains his frame all the way through. He uses some finesse on her too, and she's smiley at the end and all that stuff. And I think she's probably quite attracted to him, but because of the setup, it's as far as it can go. And he would not really be interested in where she's at. I mean, she is just right on the wall. So, as far as anything that would be serious. Pretty interesting because it boils frame down into that microcosm where we use it every day interacting with other people. It much larger frame applies to us in our personal lives as we progress as men, but that's a really interesting way to look at it. I like that. That was really cool. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap these things up, guys. What an interesting conversation. Frame's important. Go get it. And where you go get it, Raith's a master. He can help you with this frame. If you're looking at keeping frame on your dates, what do I say? What do I do? Huds does this for a living. It's fantastic. And if you want to learn how to act, learn how to fake it till you make it. Glenn Laurence is an excellent actor. He ain't faking it, though. I can tell you that. All right. So let's go ahead and do roundtable. We will start with Glenn.
Yeah. You guys, I just want to say frame is one of the most important things you need to figure out for yourself. You need to figure out what your frame is. You need to not let, popular belief or, society or the culture or your friends or anybody influence your frame. Okay. What separates strong men from weak men is that strong men have their frame. They control their frame. When everybody's telling them no, they're standing on their principles and what they believe and what they want to achieve. And they say yes, and they maintain and hold their frame, and they go against odds and they overcome. Okay. And when it comes to relationships, women will try to say like, by you wanting her to live in your frame or her living in your frame, they might try to shit test you and try to say you're controlling. No, it's not controlling. I don't want control over anybody. But I will tell you this is what I will accept. And these are the things that I will not accept. And if you do the things that I will not accept, we will not be together. That's not me giving you an ultimatum. That's me telling you this is the frame that I'm in. And if you are going to be with me, this is the frame you have to adopt. And that's not control. That's setting boundaries. That's you living in your frame, not sacrificing your frame for her. And never sacrifice your frame for a piece of ass. Okay? There's a lot of ass out there. And I'm pretty sure if you are working on your muscles, you're working on your money, and you're working on your game, you will definitely find other ass. So frame is just a huge thing. And like I said, I wrote a movie about it, Mind Dates, and we're going to get it out there one way or another. So
how can people help out with that? Where can they find you? How can they help out with that movie?
I need to reactivate the Indiegogo because, they do the campaign for only so many days and then it, goes deactive. But I'll redo that so that people could donate there. But also, if you just want to collaborate, because I'm working with a lot of people that are in our community. So if you're an influencer and you want to have a little cameo spot or something in it, that'll be great. I want to work with you. I'm working with Savo on this project. I'm bringing him on. Of course, Thor, I'm going to have you in there somewhere. I got AV. I got Afi Kingdom, a part of the project. Paul from Apex Mindset is part of the project. So, I mean, I really wanted this film to be done by a lot of the guys in our community. So that way we're just kind of all collaborating, coming together, and just putting out the same message that frame is very important. And you need to have it in your relationships with your friends, as well as you need to have it in your intimate relationships. And as Rolo says, rule number 1, frame is everything. Always be aware of whose frame you're operating in. Always control the frame, but never give off the impression that you are in controlling the frame. I kind of botched that last part up. But
Yeah, Rolo Tomasi frames everything. Perfect.
Yep.
Right on. Let's move on to the Hudsman. Huds?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
find you what you're
So-
working on, brother. And thanks for extra help on the channel. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Absolutely. I love bringing this information out there. I love helping people. I fucking live for it. I was coming back from date night last night, and I'm like on the phone with a guy in the middle of his date, trying to help him make sure that he could recover some frame. Yeah. So my final thoughts on frame. It's one thing that took a long time for me to learn. One of the easiest ways for you to start learning frame is by saying no. Now, what I mean by that is when I think of the workplace, you always have your boss telling you exactly what you need to do. I need you to do this. Can you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And you always say yes. Everybody comes out of school and goes into the workplace as a yes man. Learn to be a no man. When you're able to say no, it becomes crazy the types of doors that open up, and people respect you a hell of a lot more. So that was my final thought on that. Now, what I'm working on, I'm doing that course with Andre. If you wanted to potentially join my own group, I'm going to throw out the link in the chat. I communicate everything through Instagram. So I have my own private group. I also do dating coaching. So if you have questions, anything else, and what I said before, if you go ahead and comment, I'll go ahead and get back to you if you got a question, or if you just want to message me direct on Instagram. Outside of that, Thor's DragonShip, his monthly mastermind far surpasses mine. It is absolutely fantastic. We get you in there. We have a lot of different topics. Everybody gets a chance to talk. It is phenomenal. So thank you again for having me.
You bet, Huds. Hey, was that no ma'am? Because I like that. Be a no ma'am. Is that? I think Al Bundy had no ma'am. Didn't he have the club no ma'am?
I said no man, but maybe I slurred
No ma'am?
No ma'am. But that's funny. Instead of being a yes man, being a no ma'am.
Yeah, no ma'am.
Oh my God.
Well,
that really.
You're probably not old enough, but in the late 80s and early 90s, we had the sitcom called Married with Children, and Al Bundy, the shoe salesman, which, by the way, Andrew Tate was using that as his shit test pass. I'm a shoe salesman, right? Did you notice? He had a club, and it was called No Ma'am. So, excellent. You look it up on the internet. That'll be great. Thank you, Hud. You're awesome, man. Raith, where can we find you? You got your channel. You got your YouTube channel rolling now.
Yeah, I do have my YouTube channel rolling. I don't know how much original content I'll be putting on there until I get up and moving with some other different things. As far as frame goes, guys, if you don't have self-respect and you're doubting, the decisions you make, you're not living in a strong frame. That's the best thing I can tell you. Having an ego and self-respect are different. Okay. Everyone has an ego, but if you're trying to pump up yourself through, an excessive ego, then there's something missing in your life. Okay. And that probably what's missing is frame, an understanding of you and how you need to interact with the world and how you want the world to interact with you. So, from that standpoint, I do think it's one of the most important things in life. I think it starts you down the path of self-awareness. And if you're, trying to find your true authentic self, you're never going to do it without frame.
Yeah.
So if you want to work with me, you can find me at Raith_Deantior on Instagram, Telegram, Facebook, and now in YouTube. So hit me up if you want to. And like I said, I do personal one-on-one coaching. I'm thinking about starting a group. If you're interested in that, hit me up on Telegram or Instagram and say, hey, I'd like to be a part of the group. I want to put the feeler out there to see where we're at and how much participation we can get. Because my time is valuable to me. I'm getting old, so I have to.
What are you talking about? You look like you're 30.
Yeah. It's the shock of hitting 30 causes all the white hair.
Here's the thing, though. You got 45 more years to go. So
I do. I plan on being around till about 100. So
same. Fantastic, Raith. Your links are in the description, as well as the rest of your guys' Instagrams too. Any parting word, Raith, or was that it?
That's it. Look forward to next week, and I don't know what the topic's going to be, but we'll be there.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. All right, so guys, I want to kind of close this up. I'm going to share with you something right now. Take a look here, guys. This is becomedurable.com. This is where you're going to find RP Thor. Come to RP Thor, Become Durable. It's going to ask you if you want to join the newsletter that I never ever send out once yet, but I will keep it, and I will start posting a few things on there. Sign up for that. It's really cool. And if you want to learn and have experiences, this is where you can become a better man. There's these video lectures on here. This is all the content uncensored. This is where you're going to see the receipts of our life lived long and enjoyable. And you can see and you can learn what at least I've gone through the School of Hard Knocks. So we put these together for you here. There's some additional content here. You want to master yourself. There's principles of long-term relationship. There's also, once you've kind of have been in a long-term relationship and things don't go so well, we'll put on a cure to a sexless relationship. This is really the advanced so-called dread game, which is unlike anything else you've ever heard. It is not the sexy hardcore part, but it's the actual work that you have to do to bring it back. I think you'll find that super interesting. And as you go on, there's hourly consultation, and then there is the DragonShip monthly membership. You want to become a power lineman, you can do that as well. I work with the guys, and I show them all the unions and the schools in which to qualify and certify in order to enter a craft apprenticeship and make some big money. We talk about the Book of Odin here, some wisdom there. No gym, no time, no problem. You want to stay in shape and you want to do it anywhere you can. I got a video series on that, as well as some additional content from an old guy that's worked hard and made a lot of mistakes. So take a look at that. And if you would go over there and take a look here on Rumble and subscribe. If you go over to Rumble, you can actually find my YouTube banned video, which we got a week suspension for, which is labeled under the Elders Council, and it's right there. Not episode 5.1, but episode 5. And you can see the 16 seconds that we got suspended in a week suspension for, and I'm not even monetized. So probably because it used to be the Red Pill Thor channel and not RP Thor, that there's probably some eyes that look at us. So go over there and support us right there. We had some views over there, and we appreciate that a lot. So please go do that. Come look at us next time. We're broadcasting to all 5 channels. I thank the guys, and we'll see everybody next week. I'm going to take you out here with a video on Thor's Dragon Ship. Thank you, gentlemen. Skull.